Heaton, you're back in the loving embrace of Lady Liberty here in the good old US of A. How does it feel?
Good to be home. Good to be home. I walked around last night in Chinatown in Washington, D.C. I saw no National Guardsmen. I was kind of looking forward to that, but I guess the period stopped and they're not there anymore.
I don't know. I know that they're working, the city wound up working with them to try and extend some version of it, kind of in perpetuity.
Maybe they solved all crime. In 30 days, they eliminated all the crime, and so they went home, and that's it. And I can walk around lackadaisically and not get mugged.
Well, the stats were good for the 30 days, at least from what the mayor was saying. I mostly trust anything that Muriel Bowser said about it, because I don't think that she has historically been in any position to do Donald Trump any favors. Like her entire political base really hates hearing anything that would make Trump look good. So if she's saying it, then it's probably, it is a politically inconvenient fact for her.
I'll ask her.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please do. Please do. But one thing that I've always found when traveling abroad is that I tend to miss American food more, or at least American specific food. I have a desire to go eat a thing that just doesn't exist in a foreign environs. Did you have that coming back?
It's not that I miss the food. It's that the last couple of days I was down in London. I actually went to the Charlie Kirk Memorial at Westminster, which would be pertinent to what we're about to discuss. Yeah. And then afterwards, I went to a musical, and then I went and got drinks with friends. And then I was like, I need to sop this up with something starchy and greasy, lest I have a difficult morning tomorrow. Nope. Because like I was staying, my buddy lives like Frisbee distance from Westminster. It's crazy. Like you can hear Big Ben from his guest room. And so I was just wandering around like, I thought you people were supposed to love chips. Isn't that a thing? Yeah. But no, part of town. But I didn't know. I'm sure that there were parts of London that were selling any number of delicious assortments, but I couldn't find them at that hour. So I just ate cheese out of his fridge. Didn't tell him. Just ate a block of cheese.
It's on brand. Did you have good dreams after?
Always have good dreams.
Cheese dreams.
Cheesy dreams.
Cheesy dreams.
I do love that for your public persona as reasonable political intellectual, you also have a part of you that is identical to Chester Cheetah from the Cheetos commercial. Like you have a ravenous desire to have your legs move in a cartoon fashion to snatch and eat cheese at any moment.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that sums me up. That's one of my motivators.
Yes. George Will meets Chester Cheetah. This is Andrew Heaton.
That's actually a pretty apt description. If you took George Will and you added Chester Cheetah. I mean, Chester Cheetah is a little bit less conservative than George Will, so like it tracks politically, but also the cheese thing.
We haven't really figured it out, although it would be really great now that there's been this vibe shift in America where conservative values are now being prioritized over liberal values more than they were before. If instead of finding out like Aunt Jemima is two-spirit and in a committed lesbian relationship like we did during the Great Awakening, like now we can find out that Chester Cheetah also is like a hard ICE supporter and actually is for restricting all immigration.
Yeah, he really likes truck nuts, and and also his wife is a tradcon.
Dude, Chester
he's married to a cheetah that dresses up like a 1950s lady. She was an influencer. Maybe she'd done some OnlyFans. Then she cleaned her act up, decided actually, I quite like the trad life, and she's just easing into that. 3 kids,
and now she just makes homemade marmalades for their 7 kids, 3 of which are named Tad.
Yeah. Tad Dallas Cheetah, Tad Austin Cheetah, Tad Cleveland Cheetah, Tad John Wayne Cheetah.
4 minutes in and we're already off the rails.
There we go. From Austin, Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young. From a WeWork in Southern California,
I'm Jennifer Briney.
And from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C.,
I'm Andrew Heaton.
And we're not wrong. On this edition of the podcast, we'll be talking about the Charlie Kirk shooting and the swirl around it, And then we're going to compare our protein macros because I didn't want to put two serious political topics on this show, with the first one being so overweighted. Jen, you are out of your beach paradise.
Yes, hence why I have this lovely lighting now. I already missed the lighting from that beach window. But yeah, we are now in an RV, which has been not great.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well,
aside from the fact that you willingly chose to live in an RV.
Well, we've done this before and it's always been fine. And this time it's just, I don't know, something's just against us with this one. So it started with, we were picking it up. We were getting one from Cruise America, which we've done many times, actually from this same exact one. And we show it like on the email on the top, it says pick it up between 1 and 4. So we got there at 1.
Seems simple enough.
You would think. I walked in, the lady said, what's your name? I gave her my name and she's like, okay, go sit down in the waiting area. I'll be right with you. 45 minutes later, no one has spoken to me. So I went up and asked the only person who was there what was going on. Turns out she was the manager, who got pretty pissy with me because she said I needed to make an appointment. And then I was like, I've picked up from Cruise America like at least half a dozen times. I've never had to make an appointment before. And she's like, well, you didn't make an appointment, so we can't get you anything until 4. And I was like, the pickup window means sometime in the window, not the end of the window. And then she basically told me that the tech people have my RV and there's nothing she can do about it. So basically like go sit there and shut up. Like, she was quite rude.
It sounds like she's making a her problem a you problem.
Well,
like,
she was like, in your confirmation email, it tells you to make the appointment. And I looked it up, and the confirmation I got 3 months ago in the middle of a wall of text did have one sentence saying that you should tell them what time you're arriving, but it didn't in any way make it seem mandatory, or else you will sit there for 3 hours.
15 incessant, unnecessary emails between now and then, welcoming you to the RV family and asking you for feedback on the RV community and all that kind of bullshit.
And offering you a once in a lifetime rewards points on the RV credit card.
No. That was the other thing. They have sent me nothing since my initial confirmation. So you would think if this appointment thing was that important, that they would have told me in an email sometime in the last 3 months. Like, they did not. I've got nothing since. And so like we sat there for 3 hours because like obviously if the tech needs the RV, we want everything to work properly. So we just sat there quietly, ate Chipotle. We're bored out of our heads. But then we get the RV and there's so many things wrong with it. Like the outlets didn't work the first night. The fridge and freezer don't work at all. I was on the phone with them for hours yesterday trying to figure it out. Like, can't figure it out. So it's like, what the hell was the tech even doing? He wasn't fixing all the basic stuff. So yeah, it's been not great. Like, we're on the beach. I've taken exactly 5 minutes to like sit and enjoy the beach so far because it's just been like problems the whole time. So, and then my dad was trying to help me get my bicycle from the beach house to the RV and slit his finger open in the process of doing it. Sorry about that, Dad. So like, it's just been not my favorite week on a lot of different levels.
Not great.
Jen, last time I was in Colorado, I had to rent a car, or maybe the last time I had to rent a car in Colorado, I was in Denver. It takes a long time to get from the Denver airport to the car rental place. It's like they just, for whatever reason, it's like an hour to do it. And I got in at like midnight. So it's 1 o'clock and I'm cranky and I go get my car. They give me the keys and I push the ignition button and nothing happens. Like the lights come on, but the engine doesn't start. And I'm like, God, I just want to go to my Airbnb. And I walk in and I'm like, don't be a dick. The kid doesn't want to be there at 1 o'clock in the morning any more than you do. It's not the kid's fault. Don't be a dick to the kid. So I'm just suppressing the rage. And I'm like, hi, the vehicle that I have received is not turning on. The engine's not turning on. And they walk out and they sit in the passenger seat for a moment and they go, Mr. Heaton, this is an electric vehicle. It's on right now. You just can't hear the combustion engine because it's not a combustion engine. And I was like, I have never felt more ancient than at this exact moment.
That's amazing. I was hoping that all of the problems were us doing something stupid. But in this case, I really don't think it was. Although like this woman, the manager woman, wouldn't even help me at all until I admitted that not making an appointment was 100% my fault. Like it was some of the worst customer service I've had in a very long time. So
damn.
When you're done, you should just release the handbrake and roll it into the ocean. Like, did you get some kind of insurance for that? Can you make that their problem?
Yeah. Just get rid of the fuck bus entirely. Be like, so there.
Yeah.
Please go ahead and retrieve this from the briny deep. Oh, that's like
the briny deep would have been a good. Jen, if you ever do another show, could you please call it the briny deep?
It'd have to be a nautically themed show.
Yeah.
That also sounds like it could be an OnlyFans.
It could be an OnlyFans.
Well, I mean,
either way, you should talk in a pirate voice.
And you would then be on the pipeline.
Welcome, me mateys, to me OnlyFans, the Brainy Deep. Today we'll be experimenting with new toys that have been sent in from my listeners. Har.
If it were an OnlyFans, you would then be canonically on the pathway to bear 6 children to Chester Cheetah, as we just set up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Off the rails again.
Well, considering how crazy things are, I can think of no better way to awkwardly start this segment. As you heard at the end of last week's program, conservative activist Charlie Kirk was fatally shot while speaking at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. The shot was fired from a rooftop 200 yards away. The suspect, Tyler James Robinson, 22, is arrested after authorities say he confessed to a family member and was identified via surveillance images. On Tuesday, he was formally indicted on multiple counts: aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in the presence of a child. Prosecutors announced that they will seek the death penalty, citing aggravating factors, Kirk's political expression, and children being present. Obviously, there's a lot to this story, not only in terms of the act itself, but also the reaction to it. So we'll just roll the ball out and see where it goes. Jen, your thoughts?
Okay. Before we get into this, just know that I'm not okay. This one hit me really hard, and not necessarily because of Charlie Kirk himself, although like this was a human being who died in a horrific way. Like we all saw it on camera, that Justin and I saw it at the same time. Like I think one of the problems we have with social media is that we were just trying to find out if he was okay, and we were both hit with that video right away. And so that image keeps rolling.
Not expecting that video. Even the idea of somebody being shot, like you normally, it's
I
not
saw
that.
your facial expressions when you saw that video, and I have very consciously avoided seeing that video as a result.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen horrific things before, but this one, I think maybe it's because we saw Charlie in person. At the RNC, the last time I saw him, he was sitting next to Cenk Uygur, who at the RNC became a friend of mine, having a friendly conversation. We also saw him recording his live podcast underneath a white tent. It looked a lot like the images that we saw. And so to see someone that I saw like in person have that happen to, and we weren't even looking for that. Like I had clicked on Charlie Kirk, his name, what was trending. So it wasn't like I was looking for the video. It just popped up, and now I can't stop seeing it. And that's been like, every time I think, like I've seen it 50 times since we've started talking. It's just rolling over and over and over again in my head. So it's a form of PTSD for sure. Having seen how horrible that was, and the fact that his family was in the crowd, I have trouble handling that. And then the entire week after has been horrific. And so I think there's different parts to it. So the first part was immediate, which was before we even knew he was dead, there were people basically dancing on his grave. And for some reason, thinking that sending me memes and jokes and stuff about it would be wanted, appropriate. Like, I don't know who the fuck these people think that I am, but like, I wasn't okay with it at all. And I guess what really scared me in those first couple days, like as a content creator, was it made me feel like we are just characters to people. And I mean, we in kinship with Charlie Kirk and everyone else who speaks online for a living, like I feel like sometimes I have this amazing community that we've built, and we've met them in person, and we've done all these things, but this and the reaction to it, I don't think I'm able to deny anymore that for some people, we are not people. Like we are just characters in some political drama in their heads because they just didn't care. Like, we didn't even know if he was going to be okay. And just the way that people showed that they did not care was really scary to me, to the point that I've spent the last week thinking a lot about my own career and how far I want to take this. And we can talk about that later if you want to, because I know my decisions affect you guys. But that scared me. And then the reaction of the Trump administration to, before we even knew who did this, is saying that they're going to go after the left. And I think, like, when I think about the things that we need to focus on going forward, I think that is probably the number one most important thing, because these are powerful people that have decided to call a very amorphous group basically enemies. Stephen Miller said that people on the left are domestic terrorists. I don't even know what that means, but I do know applying that label, because of the Patriot Act and horrible laws that have been passed since, applying that label does allow some pretty scary things to be done to people that have that label applied to them, including now, indefinite detention and lawsuits and all kinds of things. And I don't know if they're just talking about, groups that are funded by George Soros, or if they're talking about people that say things online, because that's also been very concerning, because it was during the Biden administration that I was upset with the Democrats for hauling, Facebook and Twitter executives and all them into Congress and being like, you need to censor the internet. And now the Trump administration is saying they're going to go after the hate speech of anyone who said anything about Charlie Kirk. And it's like, one of the things I did admire about Charlie Kirk that we had in common is that he was willing to talk to people and debate and have very heated debates in public, but he was constantly talking to people on the other side of the aisle. He was constantly saying things that, like, I find personally abhorrent, but, like, it was his right to say that. And instead of holding him up as, like, he stood for free speech, now I feel hunted possibly by a couple different areas. I feel like the American people, I'm now more afraid of my audience than I've ever been before, because of their reaction and treating us like characters. And I'm also feeling very nervous about the people who have the most power in the world, quite frankly, going after, I don't even know who, but there's definitely just been I don't know. This one just, like, profoundly scared me and is changing me in ways that I don't even think I understand. But this job just feels more dangerous now in a way that it didn't a week ago.
Understandable. Absolutely understandable. Heaton.
First thing, this was horrible. It's a tragedy. I think that's in anything we say moving forward should be couched in that shooting somebody because you disagree with them, however profoundly you disagree with them, however offensive you find them, whatever, it's a murder. It's a political assassination. It is bad, full stop. We don't need to further clarify anything with a but, comma, or anything like that. I've been pleased and displeased with the reaction to this. And the part that I'm pleased with is I do think most Democrats that have a high profile have done a good job. In terms of people that hold office, Bernie Sanders had a very good video about this, about how we handle speech in America. Props to him. Most of the people that have a sizable following in journalistic outfits, I think, were very quick to talk about the need for civility, nonviolence, and free speech. So the people that have skin in the game, that have clout, I think have been doing a good job within the Democratic Party. That being said, I have found a lot of people on the ground floor, just conversationally, that are saying tasteless things that I don't like. I've also encountered a lot of people that say something to the effect of, it's bad that he was murdered, but he kind of brought it on himself.
Yeah.
That's been a common take that I've heard.
That he's deserved it or something because of the words that came out of his mouth.
Exactly. And I wasn't a Charlie Kirk fan. I didn't like the guy. He didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve to be murdered. Murder's bad. We don't have to go any further than that. Just murder's bad. So I don't like the tasteless, the tasteless responses that I've heard. And I think when things like this happen and people are animated, and they should be animated. Jen is animated by this. I think we're all animated by this. Like a lot of my conservative friends are very angry. Jen is very scared. There's lots of emotions that rise to the surface. That's fine. That's to be understood. But I think in terms of how we react, we should always be concerned that our reactions are making us better people, more humane, more kind, more empathetic, rather than worse people, more inhumane, less kind, less civil, more cruel. And I've seen this go both directions. And it bothers me when I see people taking the inhumanity path. And I've seen it all over the place. The thing that disturbs me on a second order, the main thing that disturbs me is that a guy got shot, that somebody was assassinated for what appears to be a political violence. That's the main thing. But secondary to that, what worries me about the current situation is how rapidly this accelerates into them being a big group. The left didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. The left didn't kill Charlie Kirk any more than the right did not hit Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer. Some lunatic did. I don't remember the guy's name. But I'm seeing that kind of mindset very, very predominant in the country right now, where a lot of my progressive friends will say things like, it's a shame that Charlie Kirk got shot, but really the political violence is coming more from the right. And then they'll litanize the various instances where somebody got shot by a conservative or something like that. I've seen a lot of rhetoric on Fox News or clips from Fox News and groups like that talking about the left, some rather disturbing things about, as Jen alluded to, defunding progressive outlets and treating them as a big block. When you're dealing with deranged violence, you're dealing with a person. You're not dealing with a monolithic club. Like I'm a limited government guy, as comes up on the program periodically. I am worried about government outreach or overreach. I'm worried about tyranny. The guy that set off a bomb in my hometown, Timothy McVeigh, had quotes in his backpack from John Locke and from Thomas Jefferson, stuff that I would agree with, the quotes. That doesn't mean that there's any part of me that shares that violent DNA with Timothy McVeigh, something that I roundly condemn. Or to that point, the fact that Justin and I are both white guys doesn't mean that we're in the same camp as Tyler Robinson for taking a shot at somebody. So I don't like that. I don't think it's a healthy thing to do at all. It is in large part a way of figuring out how to pour gasoline on your enemies during a tragedy, which I find ghoulish. And even if there was something to it, if you could make a demonstrable case that there really is just more latent violence in progressive circles than conservative circles, one, I don't believe that, by the way, because I think that if 3 days from now a bunch of stuff comes out that Tyler Robinson turned out to be a super right-wing Groyper character that was mad at Charlie Kirk for being a white race traitor and all that, no one's going to reverse position if that data point comes out. Literally nobody's going to go, oh, it was a conservative? I guess then the conservatives are the evil, violent people. No, literally nobody's going to do that. So it ends up being a way to retcon a man's death into a red versus blue tug of war match, which I think is ghoulish. And I also just don't think it helps anything. I don't think it solves any problems. I don't think it gets us closer to solving problems. I think that that's part of the ratcheting effect that makes this kind of thing more common. I'm not going to assign individual culpability to anybody, but to some extent, we're all kind of part of the weather pattern where lightning strikes in. And so I don't want to see that ratcheting go up. In terms of the hate speech that the Trump administration's mentioned, I need to watch more of that. I've been very surprised.
I do want to mention, just because it's come up twice.
Yeah.
That was a quote from Pam Bondi that she walked back within 12 hours.
Yeah, well, that's why because I watched the clip, and it was what I was very surprised she used the word hate speech. That tends to be a Republican bugaboo, where Republicans will say, there's no such thing as illegal hate speech, right?
Yes.
In the quote that I saw from Pam Bondi, she said, we're going to prosecute hate speech, something to that effect. And then she kept talking and said, you can say offensive things. You cannot incite violence. And I'm like, well, I agree with that. I wouldn't call that hate speech. I feel like hate speech ends up being kind of this canard that people trot out. So I was surprised.
And they are laws. There are some laws that have been pushed on the books
you're not
like
allowed.
And conservatives hate them. Yes.
Right. There are things like that. There are laws where you can be prosecuted for violence to somebody that's in a protected group, and there'll be sort of additional sentencing that's stacked up on that. Conservatives tend to be opposed to that.
Yes. Including
in general,
Charlie Kirk, very vocally.
In general, the last few years, they've been very in favor of free speech. But there's very good case law on this that's roundly agreed to by everybody in the country, which is you are allowed to express your opinion. You're not allowed to immediately incite violence against somebody else. There's a difference between expressing yourself versus trying to actively do physical harm to someone immediately. So she seemed to be saying that. I hope that is the direction that the Trump administration goes. Although I will say, in any instance like this, you should keep your eyes on the authorities, whoever they are. Right now, it's the Trump administration. If this had happened under the Biden watch, I would have a comparable thing of anybody in power is going to want to use a tragedy as a pretext to expand their powers. So it's right to keep an eye on them. So overall, I think it's a tragedy, and I do not like the heightened us versus them, left versus right. One nutbag is somehow emblematic of 40 million people. My personal reaction is different to Jen. Jen, I'm not arguing with where you're at, but where I am at, I am not personally worried for me. I am worried about the country coming further and further apart. I hope that this is something that is not an accelerant, but I'm worried that that is the case. But on my end, I'm not worried. I'm not really going to change anything. I don't feel like I'm targeted or I'm going to be a target. I also think, statistically, I'm a lot more likely to die by errant gunfire from something involving a gang or just a nutbag than political violence. So I'm not worried about it. I'm very sad that you're worried about it. But on my end, this is a tragedy, but I don't really have any fear personally that's coming out of it.
I have been profoundly disappointed in society throughout this. I had just to announce my priors for folks who have not listened to PX3 or heard me talk about any of the instances of political violence that people now want to throw lists at each other about. Every single time I have always consistently said, somebody could pull a montage of me saying it after each and every one of these things, that an act of violence from a person very, very, very rarely matches one-to-one to mainstream thought on the political scale. It's usually something far more complicated or insane or crazy or stuff like that. Very rarely does it match one-to-one. When Charlie Kirk was shot in the manner that he was shot, on stage, in public, I had a sinking feeling that this was going to be matched more to mainstream thought. And then I saw the reaction of people to him dying. And then yesterday, when evidence was released of the Discord logs that he sent to his girlfriend, it matched almost identical to the things that I had seen on the internet, that Charlie Kirk was full of hate and that some hate cannot be negotiated with. Those are the words of the murderer. And that is the near exact sentiment that I saw over the past week from portions of our country and people that I would consider friends. And that scares the shit out of me. That really scares the shit out of me because, people have pointed out the Minnesota shooting where a dude went to two people's houses and shot and killed a state senator and her husband. And that was two Democratic state senators being targeted, one of them dying and her husband dying. That shooter wrote a letter to Kash Patel at the FBI saying that Tim Walz told him to do it. Mm-hmm. I don't take him seriously. I don't believe that Tim Walz should be hauled in for questioning of what did he know and when did he know it. That would be taking his motive seriously. But Tyler Robinson? I mean, what else do you have to say? I mean, what else do you say? He very much believed he had a trans girlfriend that he felt, according to his mother, brought him a lot of sympathy for LGBTQ rights and trans rights. And that Charlie Kirk's hate, I think it's a reasonable assumption if you're going to categorize from that perspective what his hate would probably be in that direction. He deserved to die. And he deserved to die in front of his supporters, in front of bystanders, and in front of his wife and children. Now, I don't know if the guy knew that, but certainly that was what happened. I am not surprised that this has become a political football, but I do blame's the wrong word, because blame assigns this idea that there is a moral imperative that we have to point to one direction or another. But here's one thing that I know. Either of our two coalitions talk to each other, and either of our two coalitions trust each other. So if there's going to be any progress forward in a problem that is in one side of the coalition, it can't come from the other side. There's nothing the right can say to the left that would change anything that the left is going to do. And there's, same thing the other way. There's nothing the left can say to the right that's going to change anything that the right is going to do. I don't know what to do with a killer saying Charlie Kirk was too hateful and he needs to go, and then a bunch of people saying, I'm glad Charlie Kirk is dead because he was too hateful. I don't know what to do about it. I have no, all I know is that if there is any kind of dialogue to be had about it, it's not going to be spurred on by the right, at least in any kind of constructive way. It would have to be within the left. And I don't see a ton of it. I see a few voices, and let me shout them out because I think that they've been exemplary. I've really appreciated Ezra Klein doubling down in the New York Times, knowing that he is going to get a ton of hate for saying that Charlie Kirk was somebody who didn't deserve to die and was practicing politics in a way that mattered, for then having a dialogue with Ben Shapiro in using his platform that is widely understood by liberals to be a place where serious discussion has happened, to do it. I want to really shout out Jake Younger of the Young Turks, because he has been steadfast on this. And I would imagine his emails and messages to him have to be fucking hell, considering, the dialogue around the progressive movement right now. They have stood tall and they have said, this is not only bad, this is injustice. Andrew Sullivan, another one who laid out in a great Substack, Charlie Kirk was against gay marriage, and nobody has worked more publicly for the successful movement of gay marriage in America than Andrew Sullivan. And he said, yeah, he was against gay marriage. Who gives a fuck? I would have loved to debate him like I debated countless fundamentalists through the 90s and the 2000s that coalitionally built a tremendous progressive victory, one that was thought to be unattainable in the 70s and 80s. And he worked hard to do it. I want to shout out those voices because I haven't seen a ton of it. And now that we're into the backlash to the backlash to the backlash, and the conversation is about, what Trump is doing, which I don't love. I don't think many people have covered themselves in glory in this situation. And yes, Jen, you're right. We do need to focus on it. But also it's like, we're still, as we record this, less than a week from him being shot. Like, he still hasn't had any kind of final funeral. Like, a lot of this is a news cycle thing that it seems old, but we're not far away from the incident happening. I would like to see where this goes, but the rot that I have witnessed socially is fucking scarring. Like, I've been horrified by it.
I have too. And I think we've been talking about so many different divisions, left, right, Democrat, Republican, religious, not religious, gun lovers, people who don't, like, there's so many different divisions. But one division that I keep looking at, and it's because of what I do for a living, but I think that there's a division amongst those of us who actually believe in free speech.
Yes.
And those who are saying that there are instances where speech is violence. Mm-hmm. And this is something that we were hearing from lefty circles for quite a while, that speech is violence. And now we're hearing it from the right. And as someone who uses my words to say things that are sometimes threatening to other people's causes. Like, I think one of the things that makes me really afraid, and Andrea, maybe this explains why you're not feeling it, is that I've done episodes about Israel on Congressional Dish. And I've taken a pretty strong stance now on 2 programs saying that I don't think that the Bible is how we determine property rights in 2025. But the people who do believe that, would they consider my words to be dangerous to their cause? Like, do they now have a righteous cause to eliminate me because I am making a point that like harms what they're trying to do? And there's other things, like I get emails from people to this day blaming me for the Trump administration existing because I didn't vote for Kamala Harris and was public about it, even though, as we've discussed, electoral college, I was living in Texas.
I was going to say, you were in Texas, right? How did Texas vote? I don't remember.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah,
it doesn't.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't
that's
make
my
sense
point.
to take it seriously. Yeah.
It doesn't matter because all it takes now is one person who says her words are violent against whatever it is that I believe passionate about. And it only takes one person to know where I am and when I'm going to be there to be like, well, I know how to silence her. I'm going to be a fucking hero. Because when I read Tyler Robbins's text to his girlfriend, it was like, there was an aspect of, I have a chance to take him out, so I'm going to do it. And so it's like, yeah, I know that I'm not Charlie Kirk. I know that I do things differently than he does. Because I know these are the responses that I'm getting even in my personal life. Like, oh, well, you're not like him. But it doesn't matter because it all depends on how other people hear what I say. And I am dumbfounded constantly by the way people hear things that I say in ways that I do not intend them. And so to speak and to now see people on the left and the right kind of agreeing in this, that words are violent and need to be combated. It's like, if words are violent, then that can render a violent response.
Yeah, if words are violent, it follows that you're just responding to violence with violence.
Yes.
The logic of it is one where, well, you've already committed the act of violence, therefore we're responding in kind, which is of course bullshit and something deeply antithetical to liberal values, free speech, civil society, and everything else.
If words are violence, then the only reason that you are not being killed right now is because of somebody's interpretations of your words. And that's why murdering a thought leader is something that matters, I would say, even more than a politician. Like, if we're going to really break this down in like a super autistic way, like if you were to kill a politician, you are at least on some level saying there's a hand on the lever. If I shoot the heart out of the person who that controls the hand, now nobody can pull the lever, at least for a minute. There is some element of utilitarianism. If you are killing a thought leader, then literally you are trying to kill ideas. You are trying to kill words. You are trying to kill a general movement. And by the way, it's not a great, if you hate Charlie Kirk's perspective, if you hate Charlie Kirk's organization, well, congratulations. You've just made him a martyr.
You made him a
just
saint.
made him. You are going to watch every single negative element of his life be phased away as slowly every positive thing about his life will be elevated, and it will be bronzed and enshrined. And now people will talk about being like Charlie Kirk so they can go and talk in front of people on college campuses. He is a hero. Is a hero, not will be, is a hero, not only to his movement, but also to other people who don't like what happened.
I also want to add to that like he was 31 years old. His frontal lobe had been formed for 6 total years, and he was having conversations with people on the other side. And when you do that over and over and over and over again, sometimes there are seeds that are planted where you go, maybe I'm not right about this. He was 31 years old. What would he have been like when he was in his 50s? I keep thinking of Tucker Carlson, who was very pro-war around when we were launching the Iraq War, who has now come to the other side, and he's an anti-war voice in some cases. But
he's got a lot of different opinions these days, Tucker.
He does, but like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this was a person who was having debates, who was willing to at least talk to people. Now, sometimes he just wanted to like own the libs and scream people down. I get that. But he was a young man who in his 20s was rewarded with fame and fortune for being a conservative star. But after you challenge those thoughts over and over and over again for years and years and years, who knows who Charlie Kirk would have been 20 years from now? And we were robbed of seeing possibly a transformation, possibly seeing someone someone who could be reasonable. Cause like I did watch him sit and talk to Cenk and Anna at the RNC. Like it wasn't a screaming fest. They did scream each other once at Politicon, but like when I was there, it was a friendly conversation. So it's like, that is what we need, is to be able to understand each other. And he was at least willing to have those conversations. Well, and now like, who's going to be willing to
let's
do
say
these
he
things?
would have grown exactly the way that you would have expected, that he would have continued to be that he would have been a Christian voice for conservative politics. Now, by the way, it was a Christian voice for conservative politics that passionately argued that gay people should be involved in the movement, which is something that didn't really happen. It was a conservative voice from the Christian right that also identified why young people were turning things off, or were turning off from politics, because he said that they didn't own anything, that they were left without a mate, without a future, and that it beholden to the conservative movement to give something like that. But, you know, he was a father of two. His youngest daughter is the same age as my daughter. That guy now will not be able to hold his children. And even on a political side, he had 50 years left in that movement, a movement that he largely built. Like this is, I mean, it's, I don't know. It's so, the fact that we're even in a position, and I have people in my life that daily now will bring back dead birds from the internet and say like, well, look at this screwed up thing that he said. And it's like, what are we even talking about? What are we even talking about?
On the note of like his family, like somebody that I'd like to bring up is his parents. I can't fathom the kind of hell that they're in right now. Like knowing that, excuse me, not Charlie Kirk's parents, but like Tyler Robinson's parents for one. They're going to have to be aware that their son's a murderer. They're going to be questioning whether they're good or bad people for the rest of their lives. I think in all these instances, empathy is a good thing. And there's lots of people that are affected by this. I agree with all your points. Going back to kind of the nature of words or violence, there's always been two different interpretations of offensive speech. The first camp says bad ideas are viruses and they spread and metastasize, and so they have to be lanced. Yeah. The second camp says bad ideas are combated by good ideas and by sunlight. And the way you deal with bad ideas is you argue with them in the public court and you make them look ridiculous. And then we beat them and we move on. And then to your earlier point, Justin, I think you're absolutely right. He is going to be lionized and made a hero and a saint for this. If anybody didn't like Charlie Kirk, like that,
get ready to really not like him forever.
He's now going to be the saint of MAGA, turning point, whatever you want to call it. Like prior to his death, if you'd asked me, what does Charlie Kirk do? This is like 3 weeks ago. I would have said something like, oh, he does a lot of clickbait stuff where he goes to college campuses and dunks on 18-year-olds. It makes for good viral content. That will not be the interpretation moving forward. The interpretation will always be he was a free speech crusader who engaged in good faith arguments with people that he disagreed with. And the amount of good clips that are rising out of this are far outpacing the amount of bad clips that are rising out of this. And so, yeah, it's just ridiculous all around.
Well, and that's where I start to differentiate the timing of when people started sharing Charlie Kirk's own words, because once Janine Shapiro, who's now a judge, like a real one on the Court of Appeals, came out and said that we should have a national holiday in his honor. We are flying the flags at half staff. Like, I do think that it's worth looking at his legacy with clear eyes, because even though you can be against how someone dies, I don't think that means that you have to whitewash how they lived.
Sure.
And I don't think it's inappropriate at that point to be like, well, this is what the guy said. So maybe because even some of the clips that are going around that are making, or at least people think make him look good, are horrifying to me. So it's like they're trying to make him into a martyr. And I'm even seeing things where, his he believes very strongly in the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment, the separation of church and state, not so much. So I do think there is a conversation to be had there. And I don't think it makes you a bad person to be sharing his own words. Here's where I differentiate it though. In those first 48 hours, when we knew nothing, and the Trump administration hadn't really even talked yet, in those first 48 hours where it was, he doesn't deserve it, but don't you know he said this? Yeah. Those were the ones that disturbed me. Having a conversation about who he was and what he stood for, that's
himself.
Fair.
He kind of brought it. He like I've seen a lot of quotes flying around. I don't know the veracity of this quote. Let's just assume it's true. That he said, if you really believe in the Second Amendment and an armed society, there's going to be some amount of collateral damage that occurs. And that means that if you're going to have guns and the freedoms that they protect, there will be more murders, and you just have to accept this. And then I've seen a lot of people posting that with kind of cheeky commentary on it. Of
LOL.
Like, guess he got it. And it's like, like she was asking for it is kind of the vibe that we're going with here.
Yeah. And the analogy I have to that one, because as we know, I'm a bit of a foamer and I definitely want trains to exist in the United States. We lose 40,000 Americans every year to automobile deaths. And whenever I bring that up, inevitably someone's just like, well, I mean, that's just how it goes. That's collateral damage. Like he was kind of making the same point. If you want to have these things, if you want to have guns, people are going to die. If you want to have nothing but roads, people are going to die. It's a point that I don't agree with. I don't want either collateral damage. Like I would rather have different society, but that is something that you can say that you will accept.
If somebody said that and they got hit by a car, you wouldn't laugh and go, well, that's what you get.
The height of irony. What a hilarious, awesome thing.
Yeah. You find out that like that person who loves driving gets hit by a car, you don't dance on their grave within seconds of finding out that they got hurt, and that's what people were doing. And I think the reason that brings me back to, we are not people to them. We are cartoon characters. So when we die, it's the same thing as a TV show character dying. It's not real.
Oh, yeah.
And that scares the living shit out of me because I am a person and I do have family and I am saying things online for a living that people could find threatening. And it's like, I'm taking this one personally in a way that I know some people might consider weird, considering I am so different from Charlie Kirk, but then also seeing the president of the United States, like, as cartoon characters on this fucking show, I'm the lefty, and so the person that the president of the United States is saying is the problem. Like it's me.
But even think of that. When people are like, well, you're not big enough to be Charlie Kirk or whatever. So that's its own argument where it's like, okay, thank you, fucking all right, whatever. Yeah. That's
my defense. Compliment. I'm like, hey, I'm not that big.
But then also it's like, oh no, Jen, but don't worry, you don't have the offensive opinions. You don't have the opinions that get you killed. You have the right opinion. So you're safer than you would be otherwise, which is more terrifying to me.
Don't step out of line.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we're drawing the line. We're drawing the line on think right or else. Because, all right, and I'm going to get a little spicy here.
Please do.
Let me ask this. If Steny Hoyer were shot in a park and the person that did it had a public history of being a Hannity superfan, and then Joe Biden had his ear shot off, and then another assassination attempt scuttled. And then John Favreau from Pod Save America got shot dead at a public event. Do you think that we'd be having a conversation about right-wing violence?
Yes, I think we'd be having a conversation about right-wing violence, yes.
Well, that's happened. Steve Scalise got shot in a park by somebody with a public history of Rachel Maddow super fandom. There were 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump. And Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck, killed in front of thousands of people. So, I'm not here to say that everybody on the left is violent. I'm not here to say, and I said this on the show, per se, it does not mean that your beliefs, your political beliefs, are violent. However, I wonder how many, if this happens again, and again it is somebody on the right, at what point do we look at it as high profile public figures on the right are being shot at or killed?
We also did have 2, we had a Democratic lawmaker lose her life in June. So I think the whole splitting of this
by a guy who says Tim Walz sent him to do it.
Yeah, by a crazy. And I think like
Yes.
we want to break this down into left versus right. And like,
I'm just-
trust me, Justin, no, I hear you. I hear you. In fact, I'm going to agree
Okay.
with you right now because
Okay.
some of the people that concern me in my emails that have been the most heated with me telling me I'm a problem are the people on the left who blame me for Trump being elected because I wasn't full-throated enough in my support for Harris or whatever the fuck. So it's like, trust me, I am afraid of all sides right now because I haven't picked one. So I have no one to protect me. So I hear you on this. But I think we also have to look at every single one of those people and look at them as individual people. And I think one of the ties that binds is a lot of them seem to be just very online and very like stirred up by the stuff that they see online. Like I know that the way that I've had to force myself to feel better this week is to literally hide my phone. I gave my phone to Joe the other night and said, you cannot give this back to me because it was dragging me down into a hole. And so when I look at like Tyler Robinson, he was very online. Like he was one of these Discord people. And I won't go on your Discord server, Justin, because those people scare me too. There is something about people that spend a lot of time in the screens, whether it's video games or on Twitter or whatever the fuck. But the screens, I think, are radicalizing people. And that seems to be a theme seems to be a theme regardless of which side of the political aisle these people are on. I think there's something really corrosive about isolation and finding your connection from
finding
people
your
that are
meaning in a life adrift where now you're fighting the good battle against the evil team and you got
Yes.
meaning from it.
Yes.
I totally agree. And I think that nihilism is a big problem that we have right now. I think that it is driven by online communities for which I have fought for and defended my entire life. Online communities gave me a job. Online communities gave me this house. Online communities have given me an ability where I felt safe enough to bring a life into this world with my wife. And so I am always and will forever be grateful. We both are that online communities exist. I am a living testament to say that there are great, great, powerful things that can happen by way of internet communities. And lonely people can get even lonelier, and people can become less real the more that we talk about, the more that we share certain political agreements and we cut off any kind of debate. I mean, like, think about who Charlie Kirk was to that shooter. He wasn't a guy. He was a character that was served.
An avatar of the right.
That was served in viral content designed for a left-leaning audience to demonstrate how awful, stupid, or dangerous the right was. And he was a foil to do it. And there's a reason why all these other quotes are coming out now, because there was a ready-made buffet that existed before. And I don't know what culpability the creators have for an event like this. I think that's a very, very tricky issue. And it's one that I honestly wish that there were people, and I will go ahead and say that I wish it were people on the left, because that's where I think the conversation needs to be happening, not on the right. I don't think that anything that's said on the right now matters in a conversation of whether or not the left is dehumanizing the right too much. And you've seen it in some of the polls of cutting off friendships or believing that sometimes people need to die. Like, that's in the data, right? And it does have a partisan lean. I think it needs to happen on the left because that's where the conversation exists. And I hope it happens. I don't know if I'm the person to have it because I'm not looked at as somebody that is sufficiently to the left. I don't know if it is, you know, for whoever, anybody else. But like, you know, I got past a thing by Ta-Nehisi Coates today, which I thought was bloviating and ridiculous, mostly because it was talking about, well, actually, Charlie Kirk was bad. Nobody deserves to die, but look at all these awful things that Charlie Kirk said. And Jen, I totally agree with you. We should, as we go forward, look at Charlie Kirk as a real person. You know, in the same way that Charlie Kirk, one of the things that got brought up was he was not a fan of Martin Luther King Jr. And he looked at Martin Luther King Jr. as a real person who he did not think was a positive influence. Now it turns out he also was a pro-life supporter who got shot by Whitey. So maybe they do now have something in common. But that is something that should happen. It should. We should be able to talk about Charlie Kirk for his actual ideas. But the dehumanization, like the fact that Ezra Klein is getting dragged because he dared say that Charlie Kirk practiced politics in a healthy way. Like the mentions for Cenk Younger, the Young Turks, like fucking come on, people. Like this is something that does need to be talked about. And the right's not going to convince anybody on the left at all whatsoever.
Well, as the lefty cartoon character, let me take a shot at it. Sorry, didn't mean that.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I think what the people on the left need to understand, because I know and I feel the fear. I'm seeing things in the Trump administration that I've been pretty pessimistic about the, way America is going for a long time. This is surpassing my expectations. Trump is assassinating people on boats, saying that they're doing something from Venezuela with no repercussions whatsoever. The concentration camps are abhorrent. And so I understand being desperate. God, I'm still watching people getting blown up in Gaza, and it's been 2 years. So it's like, I understand the desperation. I want it to stop. I get that. But what we need to understand is that we are not the good guys that are combating evil, because you have to take a step back and look at what the people that voted for Trump think is going on. So it's like they've been told that immigrants are invading the country and are hurting people, and they want to stop that hurt. Is it lies? A lot of times it's lies, but that is what they're trying to help. The abortion stuff. They think that killing a fetus is killing an actual baby. So the good they're trying to do is save babies. Charlie Kirk, I heard him talking about trans people. I found it demented at the RNC how focused they were on like the 7 trans athletes that have made it into college sports. I think it's bizarre. But the good that Kirk thinks he's doing is that he thinks by getting people to stop sinning, he's helping them go to heaven. And so he's kind of speaking on behalf of God. I find that very strange, but he's not trying to do evil. He's trying to do good by trying to save you and tell you to love your body instead of change it. Now, we could disagree with all of that stuff, but you have to look at what they're saying and look at the good intentions behind it, because we have spent time at the RNC and have talked to these people. All of them think that they're doing good. And so those of us who are on the left, I guess I just have to own it now. I know that we think we're doing good, but you're not going to do good by taking out people on the other side, because as Justin said, there's just going to be a lot more Charlie Kirks. Like even with Brian Thompson, that CEO of United Healthcare, they just replaced him. Like the problems that we have are systemic. The problems that we have with gun violence are the fact that the laws are not limiting them. The problems that we have with the healthcare CEO is that he is allowed to deny people care and take the profits and put it in his pockets and that of the shareholders. The fact that that job exists, that's what we're pissed about. We're not at pissed at the person that has it. And so I think that if we want to be the good guys, we have to be the good guys and fight this in the right way, which is at the ballot box, unfortunately. And I know that doesn't feel good, because one of the things that I'm looking at right now with this Trump administration response, I do think that they are looking at this crisis as something that they can use to help them rig elections. The reason I say that is I remember very vividly during the Obama administration when the conservatives were saying that they were being targeted by the IRS. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were saying they were being targeted by the IRS. It was all about social welfare organizations, because in 2010, Karl Rove figured out that if you call your political organization a social welfare organization, you can keep your donors secret. And so what the IRS did during the Obama years, when the IRS said, you are misusing these social welfare organizations. You are clearly a political organization. And so we want to crack down on this because you're doing this to keep your donors secret. That is what was branded as going after conservatives, even though there were liberal groups that were targeted for misusing the social welfare organization tag too. They remember this. So I think the best case scenario, when I hear the Trump administration say they're going after the left-leaning groups, I think they're going after the groups that are funding lefties in elections.
Dark money.
I think
dark money.
Yep.
Open Society, Arabella Advisors. If you want to look into it, like there's a tremendous pipeline of dark money that does fund a lot of liberal causes.
True. And I think that the Trump administration is getting ready to do the thing that they accused the Obama administration of doing. I think they're only going to target the left. Yeah, yep. I think that's what this is. And that is a form of election rigging. So for me to tell the lefties, like, we just have to win this at the ballot box, I understand how problematic that is. But that is the only choice. And I think that when we have the violence happen, especially something like this, you know, I'm saying we need to win this with ideas and words, and you're scaring me out of this job. Like I've decided I'm going to keep doing congressional edition. I'm going to keep doing We're Not Wrong, but there's ways that I'm going to be pulling back on it. I'm not going to be chasing fame. I'm not going to market it. If people have found it, great. If they haven't, I don't care anymore. I don't think I want to do live shows anymore. I know that like this community enjoys that, and I'm sorry, but like I don't feel safe. So it's like, if you want voices like mine to have the courage to go out and do this, we shouldn't be encouraging the death of anyone who does this job, because you're scaring me. And I heard the Pod Save America guys, you're scaring them. I heard Scott Galloway, he's a professor. He, you know, travels all over the country, and his family is asking him not to do that anymore. You guys are scaring us with your reaction to this. And so you're not helping the cause in any way if you make us fear for our lives for speaking out.
I think that there's an element of society that says good. And the question is whether or not we think that that's a part of society that should be listened to or not, or that should be lionized or should even be tolerated on some level. You know, we've had a lot of cosplay in this country of get the guillotines and, you know, here comes revolution. And it was the reason why my stomach turned over the Luigi stuff in the moment. And I didn't want to hear about a conversation about healthcare in that moment, because there's a million times that we can have a conversation about healthcare that's helpful, but not when we're talking about what a cutie patootie the assassin is. Like that's, you know, we either we think that is acceptable or we don't. And I do think that to me is a black and white issue.
To backtrack, Jen, I really like the point you made about systems versus variables, that we've got complex systems. Bad systems result with bad outcomes. Trying to remove a person from that system, particularly by violence, doesn't alter the system. It just makes the system worse. And I like I really like you looking at the intentionality of Trump supporters and other people. I know that neither you nor I are Trump supporters, but I do think that the vast majority of people in the country want good things for the country and everybody in it. The vast majority of people in the country are having arguments over how to get to the place that we all broadly want to go to. Most Americans want a country that is safe and prosperous and happy. And we're arguing about the means by which to get there. Most of the time, maybe not now, but most of the time, the arguments we're having are fairly in-house, where we all kind of agree that there's a shared set of values that we're promoting, and they're coming into conflict with one another, and we're arguing about which values should have priority in a given situation. Those are very healthy arguments to have. Those are arguments that you need to have in a democracy. And in a democracy, there's a very big difference between someone being an opponent versus an existential threat. An opponent is somebody that you disagree with and you fight against at the ballot box and in ideas. An existential threat is somebody you take shots at because they are a warring military that will burn down your house. They're very, very different, just as there's a very big difference between being wrong about something versus being in sin about something. There's a qualitative difference between being in error versus saying blasphemy that must be smited from the universe because it's an affront to decency.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else on this subject that we want to hit or has been left unsaid? Obviously, I think that this is going to be something that will continue to reverberate, not only from the governmental perspective, but also I think from the societal perspective.
I've got a question that hopefully will result in a positive answer.
Okay.
So within living memory, the period that we're closest to, I think, is the 60s. in America, where in the 60s, we already talked about Martin Luther King Jr. being shot. Kennedy got shot. The other Kennedy got shot. The Weather Underground was doing domestic terrorism. The KKK was active. There were lots of domestic terrors going on and political assassinations going on. So that feels, to me, the most relevant time in American history. Now, we didn't escalate from there to get into like the Troubles in Ireland, like that level of like street violence. We didn't get to that point. What do you think changed in the 60s that turned the temperature down that we could affect now? What altered that period that we could emulate?
'70s television.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Bring back Mary
honestly,
Tyler Moore. I'm for that. You did a Mary Tyler Moore?
Color television. Let's figure out whatever the jump to color television is. I wish I had a good answer, and I have spent more time than most thinking about the similarities between our modern era and the 60s through the Raise the Dead podcast, which, boy, that third season keeps getting longer and longer. I wish I had cleaner answers. I know that, back in the second season when I was comparing 1964 to 2020, I was comparing race riots in both times and why race riots emerged in both 1964 and in 2020. I hate to tell you, I know, Heaton, you are a very system thinker. You are somebody who believes that we could engineer from a system level a better society. And I don't know that that's possible. I don't think that there is a thing we can do. I don't think that there is a lever that we can twist that makes things better. I honestly think that the only thing that reverses the trend is that we see each other more fully. And we understand that the media lens in which we often understand our political enemies is almost by definition a distortion. And I'll put it this way. I had a guy email me after the Kirk shooting and said, obviously bad, but come on, he hated gay people. He was just a total bigot when it came to gay people. And I was like, look, I was not a Charlie Kirk super fan. I'm obviously processing this as well. Send me any clip that you might have of him saying it. And he wound up sending a clip that I had seen online of him saying something out of pocket. And I happened to see another clip, ironically on Elon Musk's Twitter, that was him arguing with somebody that was like, hey, you are too tolerant of gay people in the conservative movement. Why, in 5 years, are you just going to be talking about minor attracted people and blah, 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 blah? And he forcefully went back and forth with this guy and said, Dave Rubin has a place in the conservative movement. Benny Johnson has a place in the conservative movement. Peter Thiel has a place in the conservative movement, and defended gay people coalitionally, said he was for a marriage being between one man and one woman, but that the conservative movement should include gay people. And so I sent it to that guy. And the guy emails me back and says, you know what I've learned the most about this? When I don't know a lot about something, maybe I should just shut the fuck up. And I was like, you want to, that we can build on that. That's a cornerstone. That's a cornerstone for which, at the very least, says, let's curb our initial thoughts, our type 1 thoughts, and let's allow our type 2 thinking, our system 2 thinking, like Daniel Kahneman says, to maybe put together a fuller picture. And if we can just encourage right now, tap the brakes when you have a reaction, and maybe don't go full-throated onto, the town square of your friends and family and screech something insane. Maybe that's the first step. The second step would be knowing and loving your neighbor, and knowing and loving people that have diametrically opposite opinions. But I don't think we're there yet.
We've talked about Daryl Davis before, have we? I'm sure we brought this up. Yeah. So for anybody unfamiliar with it, I'll try to do a quick thing on it. Maybe instead of plugging a modern episode of my show this week, I'll plug the Daryl Davis episode to do. If you're unfamiliar with Daryl Davis, he's a fucking hero. He's a great guy. Daryl Davis is a blues singer blues musician out of Maryland. And 20 years ago. He was wrapping up a set. Two white guys came up to him. He's black. Two white guys came up to him and went, hey, we want to buy you a beer. And he went, okay. And then one of them ribbed the other guy and went, tell him the thing. And he's like, what is the thing? And he's like, I've never met a black man before. And he's like, okay, that's kind of weird, but thanks for the beer. And he's like, no, tell him the other thing. And he's like, and I'm in the Klan. And Daryl Davis was like, wait, what? Like, you're in the KKK and you've never met a black guy before? Like, Daryl was more confused than angry. Like, obviously he found it abhorrent, but he was just like, how could you join a hate group like the Klan if you've never even met a black guy? Like where are you getting that from? And Daryl, who is a fascinating, awesome dude, just started hanging out with this guy and eventually kind of arranged for a meeting with the Grand Dragon of the Maryland KKK and had a very, very tense, somewhat armed conversation. Daryl didn't have a gun, but the KKK guy showed up with a gun and had a bodyguard with a gun. And they were in a hotel room, very tense. The ice went off at one point. The guy grabbed his gun, like very tense conversation. And Daryl just very politely listened to this guy spew racist bullshit for an hour. And then Daryl would go, well, I hear what you're saying, and I think you're wrong. Here's why. And he just made him point by point. At the end of the conversation, the Grand Dragon went, well, I do think you're from an inferior race, but I enjoyed talking to you. And if you ever want to talk again, that we could do that. And Daryl went, okay. So Daryl would just start texting the guy. Like, he'd just be like, hey, man, I got to run over to Kinko's. I got to pick up some sheet music for the band. Do you want to hang out? And he'd come hang out with them. And Daryl would invite him to family barbecues. Daryl would just go to El Chico's with this guy. And after 6 or 7 years, the Grand Dragon called him and was like, I'm turning in my hood. I'm leaving the Klan. And Daryl went, what happened? And he goes, you're one of my best friends. And I talked to Daryl and I asked him what would have happened if, it's great that this guy with abhorrent views came around to your position. That's really wonderful. But what would have happened if he didn't? And Daryl went, I would have stayed friends with him. He went, I found his views abhorrent. I thought they were really bad. I genuinely liked him as a person, even when he had those horrible views. I saw some decency in him. There were elements of his person that I liked and that I appreciated. And if he hadn't come around, I still would have been friends with him. And Daryl's now brought he's opening a museum at some point. I'm going to go see it. He's brought 200 plus people out of the Klan and the neo-Nazi movement where he's just friends with them. He just talks to them. He's nice. He's civil. And after a while,
super cool, plays music, stereotypical black guy stuff.
Yeah. But eventually they go, you know what? This guy's nicer than half the people I know. And this bullshit that I've been thinking is wrong. That's the way to handle these horrible things. If there's somebody that you truly think is a bigot, that's the way to handle it. We're not going to climb out of this through hate. We're not going to climb out of it through violence. We're going to climb out of it through love.
I agree with that. I agree with everything you guys said. But back to your question, Andrew, about the 1960s, I think that these solutions are a little too individualistic. And so when you ask, how did we come out of it in the 60s? I don't think we ever did. I think we're still in it. And I think this was the natural progression of it. And I think when I zoom out and see what has happened from the 60s to now, I think the decimation of the middle class is a big part of it. And I think when I look at why we have so many young men, because it is so many young men that are doing this, it's not just the political assassinations, it's the shootings in general. Why are they doing this? It's because they have no purpose. They have no hope. They have, it's so hard to make a good living here in the United States and get your money to go as far as it needs to. And I think that really started in the 70s and 80s, as we saw the distribution of wealth just get out of control, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And now our politics are getting worse and worse and worse. And if you even look at the people that we met at the RNC or the people in my personal life, why they are susceptible to Trump's lies and why they voted for him, a lot of it comes down to money. We saw the union people that were speaking at the RNC because the DNC had let them down. I think that in the vacuum of having hope, that's how people become susceptible to this. Because it's well, you're saying that you're going to help me. You're saying you're going to help the middle class. Unfortunately, when Trump says it, it's a lie. But he said the right words. We were there. He was appealing to these people. And that's the good that they think Trump was going to do. And I think that systemically, as a country, we need to make it easier to be a comfortable American, to be an 18-year-old who sees a viable future ahead of him.
Yeah.
As opposed to like sitting in the basement finding gamer friends. Well, you know, you don't really know what you're going to do with your life. And there's so many people in this country that feel this way, that I think that's a big reason
By the way,
why
that
we
was
are
a
where we are.
huge thing that Charlie Kirk said repeatedly. Literally
Really?
that point. Oh yeah. No, that was his thing with Turning Point, was that the Republican Party needed to address the fact that young men were hopeless. The fact that young men couldn't find a mate, his whole thing was you need three things to create a healthy American society. You need to get married, you need to have a mate, and you need to have a mortgage. If you have that, then you have a healthy American society. And that essentially boiled down to, you need to see a future. You need to look at what your world's options are. And you need to say, like, I can build here. I can do this. Man, won't it be great in 10 years when ... because you believe that you are on a path. That was a huge thing for him. It was a huge part of his messaging to young people, was him believing that the conservative philosophy brought you closer to that, and the liberal philosophy was that of nihilism and false promises. Now, we can agree and disagree whether or not the solutions are the same, but he identified that problem, and ultimately it was a problem that eventually killed him, because I don't know what, well, then again, I don't know. I don't know what based only on the Discord logs, that guy seemed to think that he was going to be able to get away with it, which among the things that we learned yesterday was this guy was a fucking idiot, because he was like, oh, I've left no evidence. And it's like, moron. Anyway. But yeah, that was something that he was very dialed in on, at least, you know, according to the stuff that I have seen since he died. But hopelessness of young people in general and men in specific.
But I think that just we need to take a real good look at our individualistic society, where it's like all of the problems are put on the individual and then the solutions are put on the individual. It's like, we need more collectivism in this country. We can't solve climate change. We can't change our economic system. We can't do any of this stuff as individuals, as nice as that sounds. And like, Andrew, I love your story because it does show that one person can make a difference. But at some point, our country, we need to start treating each other as a society and not just a bunch of individuals. And I think economically, I think we have to stop funneling all the wealth through the stock market to the top. And I think it's a big part of it.
Can I get into something about the left right now?
Sure.
Because you just highlighted it. I think that part of the nihilism on the left comes from the fact that there hasn't been a fucking win in that coalition, maybe since Clinton, maybe since the idea of
Obama, sort of.
And all right, so what? The big wins on Obama were healthcare and race relations.
No.
Where are we right now on healthcare and race relations?
The big win on Obama was that he won. After that, he was nothing but a disappointment.
There we go, right? Yeah. And so that's my exact point. Empty calories. Everybody felt good for a night, and they're like, great, we're not racist anymore. Within 10 years, we're burning down cities because we are now, unfortunately, so irredeemably racist, we need to burn down the cities. Healthcare, generational change. Clinton couldn't get it done. Obama got it done. Finally, this is the new great way, the new great path forward. How do people feel about fucking healthcare now, especially on the left? So great that they're murdering the CEOs and celebrating the guy who did it. Yeah. It's been issue after issue where there's been no material moving forward of a thing. Climate change, great example. Okay, in every time that Democrats have had power, who feels better about climate change on the left? Fucking nobody, by my estimation. And we can point, like Heaton often does, it's like, or I do, okay, well, hey, CO2's gone down. That certainly hasn't broken through. It hasn't broken through to the zeitgeist on the left. The zeitgeist on the left is hopeless. One issue after another. And that, I think, is part of that is societal. Part of that is how the left processes these kinds of things. Part of that is a leftist media environment where there is no wins that are highlighted, or at least that break through to their audience. And part of that is the fact that the Democrats are a uniquely fucked up party that...
Well, we have a left party that isn't left. Like they're kind of Republicans. So it's like, how do you take these thoughts that people like me have and turn them into political action when the Democrats have proven, especially with the Affordable Care Act, that they're pretty much Republicans light. You know, like they're not fighting for the workers in any real effective way. They're not helping us in a lot. Like the Inflation Reduction Act was kind of a half-assed climate bill, and the Republicans were able to tear it apart within the first 6 months of the Trump administration. So it's just like they're so ineffective. And I think part of the reason, we've talked about this before, is that they're taking gobs of corporate money. But it's like, if you're someone who's on the left, like, where is our political avenue? The Democrats say they stand for the stuff that we do, but when in power, they don't. And so, yeah, you're right. There is hopelessness on the left. And I just don't think violence is the place to turn to. But I think if the Democrats in power want to actually help this situation, they need to be less selfish, take less corporate money, and actually be what they say they are, which is a party for the workers. And they haven't been that since probably the 1960s.
I'm going to push back a little bit, maybe not on you, Jen, because I don't want to make this head-to-head, and I don't think you're saying what I'm about to say. But I read a piece by Matt Stoller recently where Matt Stoller basically said the violence in this country results from the atrophying of the social contract, so conservatives are ultimately at fault for this. And I don't like the idea of putting it in the lap of a particular group for all the reasons previously stated in here.
Yeah.
In terms of, it's very easy to take tragedies like this and go, well, if you just put all of our thoughts into practice, then none of this would happen. If we just put social conservatives in power and we let them do it, then the families wouldn't atrophy, men would have wives, all that. We can play that game, so I'm very hesitant to do it. In terms of we should be more collective, I'm fine with that, but you have to pick the collective you want to emulate. If you want to go for Scandinavia, I'm there with you. If you want to go with Venezuela, I'm not.
Yeah. And I think we both know that I'm more the Scandinavia model. And that's the conversation that I think this country would be healthy to have. You know, like, which model do we want to do? But right now we're at the point where it feels, at least to me, that the right has all the power, because they do. And the left is so gutted and we have so little hope. Like right now we're having this conversation on September 17th. And one of the other things that is making me feel unwell is that the Democrats want to shut down the government. Yeah. In like 13 days, you know, and it's such a dumb, just because they think it'll make them look like they're doing something. There's no strategy. I have no hope in this party. Yeah. And it's like that hopelessness, there's a vacuum there.
And here's one thing, and I'm glad that you pointed out, Jen, you know, work for us, do a thing. I have quibbles with the whole abundance idea, but one of the things that I think, I haven't read the book, but I would hope that either they address, and if they don't, they should, is that there is a sect of the professional Democratic consultancy class and its surrounding groups that lives to sell liberal voters, especially in blue-controlled states and cities, on causes that they then get funded for millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, for them to do jack shit and not achieve, and oftentimes make worse, these problems that the weaponized empathy of the left is funding, and then only to come back in 5 or 10 years and say, hey, you know that gigantic problem we haven't fixed? We still haven't fixed it. Give us more money. This time we swear we'll fix it. And then they fucking don't. And we've seen this with high-speed rail. We've seen this with homelessness. And those are just the things in California that I was privy to, that I saw up close. But we've seen problem after problem after problem. And it's not fucking money. And it's not empathy. And I'm sick and tired of those two things being either weaponized or wasted. Because it's not doing anything. The homelessness problem in this country has gotten fucking worse. We've gotten no closer to high-speed rail in any of the places that desperately wants it and have funded it now multiple times over. And that is a problem that is specifically adjacent to the Democratic Party. The Republicans have their own barnacles, and the best thing that Donald Trump did to that party was chase a generation of fucking hacks out of there because they were abhorrent to his way of living. And not to say that he did it on purpose, but just it naturally went. And the worst part is that all those hacks went to the Democrats because now they've been able to sell the never Trump thing to another a wave of people that are now also glomming on because there's yet another fucking remora fish that is getting away from having the money that is on the left, empathetic money that is on the left. And instead of actually fucking doing anything, it just goes to professional people who push papers and say, in 5 years, set a reminder, ask for more money.
Yeah, the good intentions of the people on the left are turning into a piggy bank for these people, and I think a lot of us are tired of it.
My entire fucking life, and if I'm trying to figure out a way to put it in, but I've captioned it right now. Never the left. Like, yeah, I have these really great ideas. Oh, none of them worked. Oh, I passed this bond initiative. Now taxes are even higher and crime's worse. And I don't have anything that I've wanted. And all these policy positions are worse. Never the left. What are you going to do? You know? And then it
just say that we were underfunded. You can always claim that. That's something no program is ever funded adequately to the people that want the program to exist, because we have limited resources and there's various things we have to put the resources to. So you can always just say we were underfunded. If we'd had more money, it would have worked.
Anyway.
And I think a lot of people have opened their wallets because they desperately want to change things. And I think the Democrats are going to have a tough time going forward because a lot of us are just done, especially looking how awful things are right now. Like the fact that the Democrats aren't being like, there's concentration camps, we need to shut them down. Like if you're going to shut down the government, like stand there, because that's a place where I will stand behind you. Right now, I don't even know what their ask is for shutting down the government. It's also
Obamacare subsidies, which the Republicans even want to keep. Yeah. It's a fucking mess. It's a mess. It's a hodgepodge. They can't agree. And then meanwhile, it's like, you know, you got Zohran in New York City that Hakeem Jeffries refuses to either endorse or not endorse. Either's fine, dude. You're the leader. Pick one, go one way or another. And instead he's like, coming soon. It's a rudderless
I understand the
party.
hopelessness.
It's a rudderless party. And that's,
yeah.
I don't want to get into a position where we are, you know, Derek Thompson wrote a thing today about how, yes, political violence is terrible, but it's like lightning and it takes certain elements to create. And he blamed a lot of it on online cultures. And again, I'm in a house talking to cameras and microphones that are made to serve internet communities. It has purchased me this. I owe everything to anybody that is listening or watching. And so does my wife, who came up through internet stuff too. I am, again, living testament to how great and beautiful internet communities can be. And I understand what his point of view is, but that didn't explain why both Kennedys got killed. Sirhan didn't have Discord logs, right? Like the guy who shot fucking MLK wasn't on 4chan. Yeah, wasn't radicalized on TikTok. These things can happen for other reasons. And part of it is hopelessness. Part of it is nihilism. And I guess if there's one closing thought here with a lot of darkness and a lot of like trying to look in the mirror and see what we've wrought, I will only say this. I love anybody listening. I love anybody viewing. I love people that share our stuff because you believe that we're important to have a dialogue that oftentimes can get heated and that is unafraid to tackle subjects that we're going to disagree on. It sometimes has taken a toll on us where our friendships have been tested because things have gotten too intense. And we keep doing it. And I very much love this community. And thank you. Thank you, because I feel fucking proud. I feel proud to do this show, and I feel proud to be able to talk to you guys and bring this kind of content.
And I do too. And earlier I said that I'm afraid of my audience in a way that I haven't been before. And I can't completely take that back, but I'm aware that like everyone I've interacted with so far has been amazing. And like, you've given me this career. And like I said, like I've had some very long conversations with my husband about like, do we keep doing this? When do we pull it? Like, when does it actually feel dangerous? And like, we both decided that we're going to keep doing Congressional Edition. We're not wrong. And it's because of the people that support me. It's because I do believe that close to 100%, if not 100% of the people here do care about us, even if we are characters in your political show. Yeah. So it's like, I guess I just want to say that I don't want anyone to take it personally that I say that I'm afraid of you, even the people that sent me shit after Charlie Kirk, because I know you were just trying to make me laugh or something. Like, I don't know. But Yeah, I guess I'm grateful too. And I'm going to keep doing this at least for now. So
I am afraid of my audience sending me documents entitled a 15,000 word rebuttal to your thesis. That's what I fear.
No, that was
from my audience.
You want to know what you call a 15,000 word rebuttal to an Andrew Heaton episode? Just a quick thought. That's what your audience caught.
Just a quick thought. I wrote this white paper that I'd like for you to read. Just a quick couple hours. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, also your mind would be totally changed if you watch this 7-hour YouTube essay.
Yeah.
Trust me, you can just go on double speed and you'll pretty much get it. Anyway.
Can we take a quick breather? I want to get some water, and also I just feel like an emotional reset would be worthwhile for our protein-heavy story coming up.
Yes, you go ahead and grab a glass of water. I'm going to point out that patreon.com/we're not wrong is where you can support this show. Last week, Jesus fucking Christ. Talk about one of the most cursed teases of all time when I said, hey, we're talking about Girl Scout cookies on the Patreon episode. Don't worry, though. When we talk about something silly, it often goes off the rails in weird and interesting places.
Boy,
fucking monkey paw curled, and we got what we got. And that's why we put it out to the public, because I think we all felt gross putting our reaction to such a newsworthy event, a horrifying newsworthy event, behind a paywall. And I'm glad that people saw it. I got a lot of personal text messages, Jen, specifically about you, that people were very, very touched. And to be honest, we're heartened to just hear somebody react to this in a way that they understood, because there was so much fear and anger on the right. And there was so much defensiveness, if not glib, shit on the left. And just to hear two people say, oh my God, what the fuck, was good for them. And so I'm glad that we put it out. I'm glad that we put it out to everybody. And this episode will be behind the paywall, and it's going to be talking about TikTok. And it will entirely be about the subject, for the love of God.
We hope so.
We hope.
Yeah. No more surprises, please.
I would prefer to not get a barrage of text messages and commentary saying what was said last week. And thank you to Will, by the way, for putting that out and putting the disclaimer up front.
Yeah. I know I couldn't have done it, so I appreciate him stepping in.
It was very helpful to have a third voice or a fourth voice do that and not have it be, I don't know.
What I miss?
Just Will being able to put the...
He introduced the Patreon episode for us instead of making Justin and I get back on the mic. And having that be public, I did get a lot of people reaching out to me to see if I was okay, which in a way, first of all, it was wonderful. And I'm so grateful for the friends and family and members of the audience who reached out to me. I don't even think I got to respond to everyone. So, I mean, that's beautiful. But it's also like, I didn't want to talk. And it was just like, it was all I talked about for an entire week. But it's just, that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't want to lose this. Like, even though it's hard to do this stuff publicly and like talk when I don't want to talk, to have the people that are strangers to me that reached out to see if I was okay, like the amount of kindness that I was seeing at the same time as all the awful, like it's just the juxtaposition of this, like the wonderful stuff that this show brings to my life, juxtaposed with the really frustrating and scary stuff, and like the wonderful people that have been introduced to me, and then the fucking assholes that I had to send into like, the Twitter hole. It's such a back and forth. And then just watching this last week with like terrible people and then wonderful people reaching out.
I had some really nice listeners reach out and send me 15,000 word exegesis on how Westphalian nation states interplay with the printing press and Martin Luther, and how it's very relevant to our current time. It was deeply comforting to me after last week's episode. I really appreciate that.
That is a very spectrum-y way to say, are you okay?
I'm actually really glad, Andrew, that you didn't see the video. I'm glad you didn't.
You know
see
what?
it.
So, I got started in political media, being a writer at Fox Business on The Independents. And I recall, I think the only like grisly video I saw, there was a guy that was like, because I was editing the videos sometimes until they realized that I was horrible at it and they yanked me from it, rightly so. There was like a NASCAR driver that had like bumped, like a guy got out of his car, another guy like bumped him and he like shot up 40 feet, came down, just instant death. And I remember going like, oh, okay, I get why we need to cut that bit. That's not good. And then like a few days later, ISIS beheaded several people. And I remember Matt Welch, who was on the show and is a friend of mine. I remember him, like, he watched the video in total and just how grim he was afterwards and just saying, like, you can't unsee that. Yeah. And it planted a thing in the back of my mind that was like, yeah, there's certain things you can't unsee. So if I can avoid seeing them, I will. I never saw goat.se and I don't regret that. I'm glad I avoided that. Justin, are you familiar with that? It's such a deep cut.
Of course, yeah. Who hasn't seen Goatsy?
Never
Just
saw
a guy
it,
pulling his
didn't
butt apart.
Yeah.
Don't be a prude. Yeah. Among the more ridiculous things that happen, not to do one last thing on the Kirk thing, but like it is in relation to the video. There is a conspiracy theory that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, that Mossad killed Charlie Kirk. Because he was evolving his opinions on Israel and that Netanyahu couldn't have it. And so Mossad shot him and are now covering it up. And I had a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, lean into that. And he was like, hey, I got some stuff to tell you. And he was in the conservative media sphere. And he was like, oh, a friend of mine who was around Israel texted me before anybody else saying that he was definitely dead. And I was like, hey, name, person. I knew he was dead before it was officially announced because I watched the video of him dying. It wasn't a shock to find out. It didn't take a huge thing. Like that was I called it a Faces of Death video when we were watching it. But anyway, the Mossad thing is fucking ridiculous. Part of the brain rot in this country. But
Justin, are you replaying it in your head every time you see a picture of him? Because I can't stop seeing it.
No. And maybe this is because I remember watching the Daniel Pearl video when I was 19 and some of those ISIS beheading videos and stuff. Like, I mostly reacted to it in the way that I did because shooting, when all you know is he was shot, you kind of think it's going to be more like
maybe it's in the arm
video of Reagan getting shot or something, right? Where it's like, especially because initially they had arrested a guy who, by the way, did you see the old guy that they arrested?
I know.
No.
The old guy that they arrested was screaming, I shot him, I shot him, I shot him. That's why they arrested him.
Really?
Yes. He was saying, I shot him, now shoot me. I shot him, now shoot me. So they
weird.
Then they asked him where the gun was. He's like, I'm not telling you. Shoot me, shoot me. Had child porn on his phone.
What?
Yeah.
See, people are insane.
To quote Jim Norton, the comedian, imagine being so caught up in the moment, you forget that you have child porn on your phone while you're taking credit for a murder you didn't do.
Yeah, that's wild.
But he says he was doing it to let the shooter escape.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, how that comes together, who knows? Obviously, we will see. We are still in the earliest phases of evidence of this investigation being revealed. But
I guess when I went on Twitter, I wasn't surprised to see the video, but I was kind of hoping it would be like, Trump got shot in the ear. We all watched that. He was fine. Like maybe Charlie got shot in the pinky. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that.
In the gut, something in the chest. Yeah. Like
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say about it. It's just, I guess It's running over and over in my head, and I don't think I can be the only one, even if I'm the only one on the show. But I do think that there is
part of it where it's like, that was a perfect storm because those events are viral video factories, not only for Charlie Kirk himself and Turning Point USA, but also for everybody there. Like everybody had their phone out because everybody on all sides of that aisle wanted to record Charlie Kirk talking to the people that want to yell at Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. There's a celebrity, one of their favorite characters is here.
Well, so and like, I don't know, did you see Channel 5 had a video of the guy that was talking to him when it happened? That was in the middle of talking about, he's trying to make a point about trans shooters.
Yeah.
And the guy was obviously fucking intensely shaken about it. And he was like, look, he camped out. He was the first guy there because he wanted to have a dialogue with Charlie Kirk, because he thought if he could make good points against Charlie Kirk, then that would be a net benefit to his cause.
Yeah. And now he'll be fucked up for a long time too.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about protein or just go to emails?
Let's just do it quick. I have a quick question about protein. We were going to talk about is too much protein too much. I actually want your input on this. I got back to America. I joined a gym the day after that. Mm-hmm. I lifted heavy objects. I set them down. You know the drill. Then on Monday, I did leg day. Mm-hmm. And I, for the first time, did these things called calf lifts.
Yes.
Do you know of calf lifts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think maybe previously I'd done 10 at some point in middle school, but I did 100 on Monday, and I can barely walk.
That's a lot of calf lifts.
Yesterday, I literally barely come up and down stairs. I would scream. It was really bad.
Why did you do that?
Why don't you do 10?
I took a class and I was like, gotta go. And the lady's like, we'll do some calf lifts before you leave. And she's like, I went, how many? She's like, you should do 100. And I went, okay. And I seem to be able to do them. I was impressed with myself for doing 100 of them. And now I'm paying for it. Anyway, the point is, I don't want this to be a one-time trauma. I want it to build exquisite calves like my great aunt Mildred. Great calves. So how much protein do I need to take? I'm doing 3 protein shakes daily and eating fish. Is that enough for me to capitalize on this?
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. See,
are you like in like a total body transformation thing? Are you trying to be Jack Teaton?
No, I would love it if I grew one fucking peck at some point. That would be great. I'm just one would be fine. Where if I tilt to the right, you're like, look, he's got a peck. I'd be fine with that. No, I'm thinking like long term. Like I'm 41 now, allegedly like, muscles start to atrophy and that kind of thing. And I want to be in good shape long term. So I want to like bulk up a little bit so that's what's atrophying as I get older. Seems like now would be the time to set good habits.
It is always a good time to work out. And as this article that we were going to talk about from the Boston Globe points out, there is now a phenomenon with protein, specifically it tilting more toward bodybuilder level, 200 grams of protein a day.
Yeah. I'm being told I need like 170 grams, which is like you have to eat chicken nonstop all day.
Yeah.
So
I struggle with it. I can't eat that much.
I finally completed my goal. I figured out how to export all of my Apple Health data every day. That includes my Orange Theory data. That includes my wearable. That includes my smart scale. It now exports into a Google Sheet, and then ChatGPT looks at it and gives me thoughts on my trends and what I'm doing. I can also have a calorie counter inside that can interact with it. And so I can fully keep track of my health and my metrics, which I think is amazing and awesome. That being said, as part of it, I did a deep research on average health of a 42-year-old man, to which it said that it considered body fat percentage, because in my mind, body fat percentage is really what I'm looking at. I'm not really looking at weight per se. I'm looking at body fat percentage because I know the last time I got really in shape, 20%, I feel great. Anything below, I get closer to abs. About 15%, I can have visible abs. And I'm like, okay, I'm at about 23 now. Like, if I watch what I'm eating and I'm staying working out, like I can probably get back there. Like I just need to make sure that I'm on top of things. The deep research said that a healthy man is considered between 11% and 20%, which I found to be fucking ridiculous. That's insane. There's no way that's the health. That's a great range. You should be thrilled. Like that takes effort. That takes waking up every day and figuring it out. That's just not skipping fries. That's like, putting time and effort into it. So I don't know. I don't know where our metrics are. And this is a thing where I will join with the critics of RFK Jr. because he should not be the standard of what is healthy. A ripped Kennedy at 78 or whatever he is, drinking fish dye in his water or whatever. Like, that's not what we should be looking at as like the average. Like, we should have somebody who's like in good shape. Like they used to be in good shape. Like movie stars used to be in the 70s or the 60s. Like just kind of dudes that don't have visible guts. That's what I'm looking for.
I struggle because like, I don't feel like these numbers of protein that we're being told we need now match what we were being told even 5 years ago. Like this protein thing feels like a fad, but I don't want to be judging what I need to put in my body based on feels like in the media. And I genuinely don't know who to trust anymore. Like, I don't know who the authority is because you can listen to 10 different podcasts and they'll tell you 10 different things. And I'm very confused by it. So I'm eating protein, but I'm not trying to hit 170 because that just seems insane.
So much food. It's so much food. Like I was going back and forth with my digital assistant of like, I was taking pictures of all my food and it was like giving me estimations of it, which is fine. I don't need the exact thing. I just want a general estimation. And it was like, yeah, you're way short on protein. Like you should be getting 180 grams. So you should have probably drank 3 protein shakes between when you woke up and now. And it's like, the fuck, dude? I'm eating an egg white omelet in the morning, meat and vegetables. That's it. Just a steak and vegetables, lightly oiled for lunch. And then I'm skipping dinner. And other than that, I have a fruit snack in the mid-morning and then a salad in the afternoon. Like I am doing my best, but it's like, no, you need so much more protein. So much more protein.
Okay, how would our species have evolved to eat that much protein? So like, okay, you think about like hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers, they mostly gather. That's where most of the calories come from.
Yes.
And then like every, 3 days, every week, the dudes will go out and kill game with a stick and they'll eat it and they'll have steak for a couple of days, right? It's not like, I don't think, like humankind had a 1,000,000-year incubation period where we ate 200 grams of meat every day, or like 100 grams of meat and a bathtub full of lentils. That just seems insane that we could have ever had that much food, let alone eaten that much food.
What? Heaton, this has got you written all over it, dude. You got to get to the root of what fucking lobbyist got written in that we need to eat 200 grams of
Maybe
protein.
so.
What?
Because when I was a kid, we had the food pyramid, and the food pyramid had bread at the bottom. And if you took the food pyramid seriously, you should eat about a loaf of bread per day. That was what the food pyramid said. Right now, if Jen was like, I'm going to eat a loaf of bread a day, I'd be like, are you okay? Do I need to fly out to your RV and like make sure you're all right? Like, but it turned out that what was going on was that a bunch of people that grew wheat had an in with the USDA and so convinced them to put it in there. It was just an effort to sell more bread. It had nothing to do with nutrition.
Well, and now I'm wondering, did the meat lobby want to get that spot on the food pyramid? Because like, I know a lot of people are sucking down these protein shakes. That doesn't seem like food to me. I want to eat actual food. So in order to get that much protein, it's basically dairy and meat and nuts. And it's the exact opposite of what we were told as kids. I love that you brought up the food pyramid because I've been questioning it too. Like I'm obviously like I'm lifting and I'm playing volleyball. I'm trying to be healthy and I want my diet to align with my goals. And there's so much conflicting information that I'm just.
Is it possible that we're conflating like maintenance mode with growth mode? Because it would make sense to me that like growing muscle would involve overeating.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've known people that for like television opportunities need to get into like crazy fucking like best shape of their life, have a nutritionist, have a trainer. And if you are doing that, then you're working out like twice a day and you are eating an ungodly amount of protein, clean protein. Like you are doing nothing but like what Jen said, just bare, like, cooked through white chicken breast and steamed broccoli. And that's it. And you're eating fucking 50 of them a day. It's a ridiculous amount. And you're drinking protein shakes.
Okay, maybe I should get into pot because doesn't it give you the munchies? Would this help me?
I don't know if doing drugs is the answer.
Although I do know that was a big, like a lot of what we're seeing now and a lot of the loony shit, in my opinion, comes from gym culture. And I have found this, that gym people, God bless them, I love gym people, but it takes a lot of self belief and self-discipline to get in really good shape, right?
It does, yeah.
When you do that, you tend to find, like any journey, little things that work for you or that were happening when progress happened, and you stick to them and you swear, you evangelize that, hey, as part of my journey, I did X, Y, and Z. Now, obviously, workout destroys muscle, protein helps rebuild muscle. The next time that you have your workout, you now have more muscle than you had the time before. I understand the science, and please do not take this as an invitation for gym people to write in all of their gym theories. But I do think that part of it is we are entering into a phase. This is part of the vibe shift. I will say is that now it's a little bit less healthy at any size, liberal dominated culture, and a little bit more, get some protein, bro. What are you doing? Why aren't you in there lifting? Why aren't you in there? Heart health matters, and like, just in the same way that healthy at any size was like, hey, nobody needs to be fucking demonized if they aren't ripped and shredded. That's where we understand it. It has its toxic element. Hey, we shouldn't also be incentivizing people to have diabetes. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like this also good. You want to know what? Everybody should be working out a little bit more. Yes, we should. If you look at our rate of diabetes, our rate of obesity, we should probably be encouraging more physical fitness and diet than we do currently. But at the same time, you don't need to go overboard. And sometimes also encouraging people to eat 200 protein grams just means that they're housing a bunch of food that's going to make them more fat.
Well, and like the protein shakes seem to fall in that category for me. So it's like, am I eating protein, especially right after my workout? Sure. But am I sucking down chocolate shakes and calling it good for me? I am not. So I think that's...
I don't buy it.
I did real damage because when I got into really, really good shape, I was doing it because I had an incredibly strict breakfast and lunch diet. And then I was drinking at 3:00 in the afternoon until about 9. And then I would go to sleep at 10. But I would drink beer for fucking 6 hours straight and then go to sleep and then run at 5:30 in the morning. But like that was during lockdown and I had nothing else to do. I had nobody else to interact with. I got all my work done by 3 so I could start drinking. But I was doing like a slim fast diet, but just with beer.
See,
I got abs, but it's like, that's not something that anybody should take. That's not a good lesson. I shouldn't be writing a book about that. Like for whatever reason, my metabolism in that moment was like, yes, if you don't eat food calories, it's okay if you're walking while you're drinking beer calories. I don't get it, but I had fucking abs. So
I feel like this was my chance this summer training with pro beach volleyball players to get in the best shape of my life. Like I could have had abs. I could have looked great, but I have rewarded myself after every long practice with ice cream. I spent so much money doing it too. This is not cheap ice cream, but it's phenomenal. And we just keep eating it. So I've lost no weight. I look exactly the same. But damn, that
but you're better at volleyball.
Good. I am definitely better at volleyball. That's true. Yeah. In fact, I
that counts.
Aced one of the pros multiple times on Monday night, and it felt great. I even got him to say awesome. Jesus Christ after it. So yeah, he was frustrated.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm proud.
We're not wrong pod at gmail.com where you need to write. Effortless writes, Heaton, I'm about 60-40 on that. Speaking about ending the filibuster, this guy is funny when he's not even trying.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's actually true. You are funny when you don't try. You're funny all the time.
Thank you. I know, but when I try, 60, I suck at it.
Oh, stop.
So
that's
you were
not
not trying to do a thing that you were 60-40 on ending the filibuster? Was that not on purpose?
No, I'm just brilliant. It must have been my subconscious mind. My system 2 is just as clever as my system 1.
Because that shit is fucking hilarious. I'm 60-40 on ending the filibuster. Fucking really good. Full depreciated woman explainer. This was about the Epstein fucking birthday book. We got multiple people writing in about this.
Oh, it's because it was the thing that we didn't get, right?
The check where it was like people on the left were like, look, fucking Epstein selling a child to Trump. And like the quote was like, I'm selling a fully depreciated woman. And people were like, look, it's a pedophile exchange. And I was like, I don't fucking get the joke.
Yeah,
it seemed like boomer humor to me. Here's what people wrote in. Never thought I would have something to add to this podcast while also using my accounting degree. But yes, a fully depreciated asset is one that has been fully, quote unquote, used up, literally at the end of its useful life. Something fully depreciated isn't worth anything on the books of a company. So I guess selling it means the person who bought it is a sucker.
Okay.
Boomer humor. The sun melts the boomer's brains.
Or accountancy humor. Could be accountancy humor.
Could be boomer accountant.
I'd say it's probably misogynistic, though. That one I feel comfortable.
Oh no, Jen, you're wrong. Your girl brain misinterpreted this. Sorry, you're wrong.
I'm gonna
Your feelings are invalid. You're crazy.
My stupid lady brain. What am I thinking?
Yeah,
I know.
It must have depreciated. It's not working anymore.
A survivor of a politically motivated shooting, and we got a bunch of stuff on Kirk, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to precede the emails before we had our conversation. I wanted you guys to react to our conversation and not just to the shooting itself. But there were a few that I did want to mention, and this was one of them. As a survivor of a politically motivated shooting, the 2006 Seattle Jewish Federation shooting, the news about Charlie Kirk shook me. I appreciate your raw response to the news, especially after seeing how many people's initial reactions was to celebrate or immediately engage in back and forth blame games. As a survivor of political violence, I have experienced how celebrations or justifications of someone's death ripple outward in ways that people might not see. They wound more people than you realize, and they deepen the divides already tearing our country apart. I understand the impulse to explain or make sense of violent, shocking acts, but the back and forth blame games only distract from a simple fact that a person was murdered. I'm thankful more lives weren't lost in this shooting, but the violence and its aftershocks will be felt far beyond this immediate moment.
That's right. I'm so sorry that you were there and a part of that. That's terrible. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
And I just want to say, and this is not necessarily just about political violence, but also about news stories in general. And this is from a perspective of a reporter that had to cover crime. And then you go back and talk to people. But like, what is a passing fancy for us, if it's a tragedy, it lives with these people forever. This affects their lives forever. Thank you, writes. Jen's reaction to the murder of Charlie Kirk was justified and understandable. I wish more people, including myself, were as empathetic and caring as Jen. Jen expressed how scary this is considering that you all do similar jobs. The three of you do an excellent job of modeling how to converse with somebody who has differing points of view. You are always respectful and never condemn people for their views. You never wish ill on anyone for their beliefs. I honestly do not believe that you could inspire the kind of hate that this requires. That is unless we ever got Dark Justin, who goes super partisan, who knows what evils would be unleashed. I appreciate you guys understanding that I am barely holding back true fucking chaos in this country.
I actually have two thoughts on this. The first is, first of all, thank you for saying this. But Justin had the same exact reaction that I did. So why are people saying this about me and not Justin? Because we're not real people, even to our audience. And I don't mean this in a negative way. I do mean that, look, there's only so much that can come through the earbuds. There's only so much that can come through the screen. You will never know who Jen truly is, or I truly am, or Heaton truly is from consuming this alone. No
I'm AI. I don't even exist.
Jen, you have been more open about your emotions on the show than I have. And I don't have them. And Heaton one day hopes that they're going to grow through very late puberty.
Yeah, maybe I'll get a peck and feelings.
And so I think when people saw that vulnerable side of you that has happened in other times during the show, but it was as raw as it was in that moment, I think people connected with it in a way that I I kept it more like professional, moving on.
Yeah.
Like
you kept your shit together while I cried.
Well, you had to stop me doing a fucking eulogy on the show. Like I listened back to it and it's like I start doing, because my brain immediately just goes into like news gatherer mode. And so I start doing like Charlie Kirk, obviously Turning Point USA, founded in 2000 and blah, 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 started doing door knocking. And you're like, can we please wait and see if he's dead? And I'm like, you're right. We're ending the show. See you later, folks. But I think that's why, is because I had my reaction to that tragedy was to move into an artificial, not artificial. I tried to be professional.
I think you were conscious that we were on the air.
The way that the audience did.
Yeah, you were on the air and I'm an unprofessional who just decided to weep like a fucking baby, which I've done so many times. That's what people responded to. That's what, I mean, honestly, it's like, yes, I know. Look, we all look at the elements of our existence and we're like, oh, okay, well, like, I wish I could be more empathetic. And Jen, like, you're like, I wish I could be more professional. But guess what? The way that we are is why people like the show. And that is all we can do is be true to ourselves. Yeah. The other thing I may have touched on this before, but I've actually gotten a lot of people saying this to me who like preemptively thought that I would be afraid. It's interesting the number of people that reached out to me and said that when they heard Charlie Kirk was killed, they thought of me. And so just that thought being connected with people who are not me is interesting. And a little scary, including like a famous comedian. This is someone who does live shows all over the place. And she was worried about me. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. But this idea that like, you don't think that we could inspire the kind of hate and action like this requires. I do feel like I've structured my career in a way that I always want to help people and I never hurt. And like, I hear what you're saying, that like, I don't want to be divisive. We've talked about this on the show. The three of us haven't picked a side. And we don't do the clickbait thing. And I think financially we've all been not hurt because we're all doing just fine. But like, if you want to get really famous, you do the Charlie Kirk method, like you go all out. But I don't think that people that don't do this for a living understand the irrational hate that we actually do generate. I don't know if Andrew does, because I don't know how anyone can hate Andrew, but Justin I
don't get it for the political orphanage. I do get it for reason videos. So
okay.
like I'm tip the deck. Probably one of our next videos will be, is Trump socialist? And it'll be me talking about socialist things he's doing. That one's going to have a bunch of people that are like, fuck you. Like, yeah. So I don't get it on my show, but I get it on videos.
I mean, I think for people who are rational, like you can't imagine, because like there's things that I've said that have generated such anger where like I don't see it coming. I don't think that it's something that's going to make someone mad, and yet it makes them very, very mad. And so I think it's one of those things that's very hard for people to relate to. It's one of the reasons I felt like I've had no one to talk to over this last week, because it's one of those things that unless you're on the receiving end of the messages in the emails and have had your personal life affected because of something you said online, like I've lost friends for sure because of this job. And so I can understand if you hear what we're saying and being like, wow, what an overreaction. But on our end of it, we just have to deal with some crazy shit sometimes. And it only takes one. So that's why, like, as much as I've enjoyed the live shows and meeting you guys, because it only takes one, I no longer want to advertise where I am in when, you know what I mean? Like, and I know that might, I don't want to offend anyone by saying that I'm afraid of this audience, because I do love the vast majority of it, but I don't know who's in it.
It has nothing to do with the audience per se. It's just, it is the tenor of where we are right now.
Yeah. And like Tyler Robinson, I think was his name, wasn't writing emails to Charlie Kirk. So it wasn't even like there was a warning for Charlie to know that there might be a nutbag coming at him in Utah. Like, we don't know who's listening. This is the internet. Like, I found out recently that there was a Democratic, a guy that was running for Congress, and he was running as a Democrat, and he got a bunch of questions about his friendship with me. And so it's like, we're on radars that we're not even aware of. And I think that's where the fear comes from.
Were you really friends with him?
Yeah. Yeah, he was at my wedding.
Well, it wasn't platonic, Justin. Can I tip the deck on this? No, I'll hold back. I'll hold back. There's no reason for me
No.
to add scandal to Jen's life.
Yeah,
what
we were
she
definitely
does in
not
her
banging.
private life and what she's been okayed to do is her business.
Yeah. No, he was in the exploratory phase. He's not running anymore.
Yeah, he
but
was.
like the fact is that like there were questions about me. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like how? And so I think that's what scares me more than the people that we actually do hear from, although we hear from some nutties. But like, we have no idea how big our audiences are. The way that they measure these shows is all kinds of wacky and changes all the time. We don't know our reach and we don't know how many powerful people or crazy people listen. So I hear what you're saying, that we don't behave like him, but that doesn't mean that we're safe.
Let me just put it this way. The nicest person I know in this industry had to file a restraining order. He doesn't work in politics, had to file a restraining order against somebody that was just fucking crazy. And he was listened to by enough people that he had to fucking file a restraining order against it, and he had to get the police involved. It only takes one person. And when this is where I have a hard fucking line in the sand. And to be honest, if I have any regrets about the last fucking 10 years, it's that I didn't make a harder stand on this, back when it was even more difficult to do it, but possibly even earlier, where it's like, words aren't violence. Words are not violence. The thoughts that people have are matched by what the latent desire of a group wants to do. Somebody saying a thing does not cause it to happen. The desire of everybody else to do it causes it to happen. We are all hands on the Ouija board, and it is not moving because somebody says to move it left or right.
But no matter how many times we say that, Justin, the fact that Democrats and Republicans now, like the two powerful parties, are saying that words are violence, we've entered a different phase. Like you and I can say this as much as we want, but the lexicon now is saying that words are violence. And I think we have to prepare ourselves accordingly.
I wonder how much it's going to last on the right. It might. It may well. It is new to them. But that doesn't mean that, again, they now have the culture in a way that they did not over the last 10 years. And I think that they are extracting their pound of flesh pretty gleefully. Will that extend to hate speech laws or the kind of persistent purity culture that we saw on the left throughout the Great Awakening? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Besieged BLS issues a massive hiring revision was our other story. But why, asks. Why is it okay for BLS to be wrong most of the time? Why not just wait to publish data until they're certain that it's correct? Why not choose accuracy over expediency? I'd argue it's better for the Federal Reserve to confront a known unknown regarding labor participation rate than trust BLS, who apparently has no idea what their own margin for error is. Is this not statistical malpractice?
I've had similar thoughts.
Yeah, that's a pretty insightful and a damning position. I will say that I think that that's different than firing people in BLS because you don't like the data. But if you want to take the position that they're reporting too quickly and they would do well to hold back until they're confident, I think that's a very reasonable position to have.
And finally, Republicans go nuclear, which is happening today, the nuclear option to change the Senate rules. Gerrymander origin. We got into talking about gerrymandering. Right. Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry redrew state Senate districts in 1812, making them look like a salamander. So the portmanteau of Jerry and salamander gives you gerrymander. This dates back to 1812. All of this to say that gerrymandering has been literally happening for hundreds of years.
Oh my God,
yeah, that's absolutely true. Politicians would rather pick their constituents than have the constituents pick them. And both parties in general would rather have gerrymandered districts that allow them to have an in-house pick on the member of Congress than actually have a competitive election. They would rather have it where we have a concentrated guaranteed Democratic district and you guys get 3 rural red districts and we get to pick our guy without having to consult you and you pick your guys without consulting them. It goes back a long way. It's a heinous thing. It's something that I wish we would negate.
We're Not Wrong is a production of Dog and Pony Show Audio. Our editor is Will Saddleberg. I think we all know what our shows were about last week, right? If you want further thoughts, but go ahead.
I'm going to pitch something else rather than pitching my show. I have previously mentioned my book. However, it is very relevant for the conversation that we've just had and the time that we're living in. I wrote a book called Tribalism is Dumb, where it comes from, how it got so bad, and what to do about it. It is, if you were concerned with the direction we're going and you're curious as to why the volume is going up, why the temperature is going up, I wrote a book explicitly about this. If you are concerned with how people react, and most importantly, if you're concerned with how you react and how you understand the other, I wrote the book for you. So I will make you a promise. If you buy the book, I can't fix the country. I can't fix the people that you interact with in your life. I can make it less baffling for you. I can remove some of the confusion about what's going on, and hopefully that will make you feel a little bit better. So if you're concerned about the heightened partisanship and the heightened tribalism going on in our country, I spent 7 years writing a book on this exact topic. If you're illiterate and you like the sound of my voice, good news, it's on Audible. So go on Audible, go on Amazon. Please check out Tribalism is Dumb. I think it will be worth your time.
Jen?
The truth is, I haven't been able to work since Charlie Kirk was shot. So there's nothing new on Congressional Dish, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. I do know that, like, the little Congress I was paying attention to, I'm going so bonkers over the idea that they might have a shutdown. Like,
I just shut it down.
It's amazing to me. So one of the things I did do yesterday was listen to my old episodes from the 2 shutdowns, like the long ones we've had since I started Congressional Dish. Because at this point, the only person I trust to tell me what the fuck happened is me. And so I went back and listened to it. And I'm actually strongly considering just kind of being like, just a reminder, here's the history, here's how it worked out, and just let people know the consequences of this. I'm not delusional enough to think that there's anything we can do to stop it, because I saw like Eric Swalwell, he had a Instagram where he was advocating for shutting it down, and all the comments were like, yeah, let's go queen, like shut her down.
Slay.
Yeah. And there was so much encouragement. So, I mean, they're hearing from the reactionary people that don't understand how the government works to shut it down. So I think they're going to do it, but
oh, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Can you translate blue sky voices to votes? Does that work? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio? Like, if you win blue sky, do you win the election? Because if you do, then they're doing a great job.
I mean, that's the question, right? Is the goal
it's not
just
the question.
to pander?
It's not the question.
No, but it is, because it's like, is their goal to pander to the base, which is like kind of what you're making fun of, or is the goal to protect the government? Because right now you have someone who is actively dismantling the government, and the Democrats are saying they're the protectors of it, and now they're about to do something that is going to put the government in grave danger. So it's just like, what the fuck are they fighting for? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of preparing myself. I don't think my mental health is getting any better in the next few weeks with this job. What was he holding in his hand?
Probably a dildo.
That's what I thought. It's exactly what it looks like. It's a little pink dildo.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is a good time to stop recording.
Yeah.
Now that Andrew's left us to play with the little dildo. Oh, you're back. You're finished so quickly.
Mm-hmm. What is the little dildo, Jen?
What is in your hand?
You tell us.
We are guessing what was in
It's just
your
like
hand.
I have like a little squeezy toy that I play with.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. It's
For audio
I guess
listeners, it was a dildo.
no.
Yeah.
So I have an audiobook out. Modern Political Campaigns, as written by frequent guest on the show, Michael Cohen. Not that Michael Cohen. He worked in Republican politics for several decades and now is a professor. But he literally wrote the book for aspiring people who want to go into political campaigns. If you want to actually understand the X's and O's of what goes into stuff, if you want to know why Jen's friend had to be asked a question about whether or not he knew Jen and what their relationship was, that is covered in Modern Political Campaigns, and I narrated it. So go ahead. If you are interested in the X's and O's of this kind of stuff, how these things work, it very much explains how and why campaigns make the kind of decisions that they do, or you want to get into the world of politics, then go ahead and download it. It is now an audiobook for the first time. Modern Political Campaigns by Michael Cohen, as read by your boy, Justin Robert Young.
Congratulations, kid. Good job.
Oh my God, it's fucking so annoying to record an audiobook. God, is it so annoying. It was so... I told him I would do it in like the spring. And he's like, when is it going to be done? And I'm like, summer. And I'm like, oh, I have till Labor Day. And then I got to like 2 weeks to Labor Day. And I'm like, fuck. I got to sit in this room and record. And then listen to me. That was even worse than recording, is listening back and like listening to me bumping the mic and fucking up and like having to go back and clean it up. Ugh. Anyway, that's it for today. Until next time, friends, for Andrew Heaton and Jen Briney, I'm Justin Robert Young. We're not wrong. I'm not even going to do the bit because it would be pretty dark if I told you who I thought was wrong right now.
Everyone is.
Every fucking.
Dog and Pony Show audio.